Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. We live in a world obsessed with noise. People rush to respond, to defend, to explain themselves. Social media rewards the loudest voices, and yet the Stoic man knows real strength is found not in noise, but in stillness. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." And in that truth lies the key to everything. Because silence isn't weakness, it's control. Not the kind of control that shouts, "Look at me," but the kind that calmly whispers, "I don't need to explain myself." Today, I want to walk you through 13 moments where your silence speaks louder than any speech, where your restraint becomes your revenge, where you reclaim your power, not through reaction, but through refusal. This is the Stoic power of silence. 1. When their happiness is fake. Have you ever seen someone post endlessly about how happy they are, how healed, how free, but something about it feels off? Their smile is just a little too wide, their energy forced. It's performative. Real peace doesn't need to prove itself, and you as a Stoic don't need to respond. Because what you're witnessing isn't healing, it's overcompensation. Epictetus taught us, don't get distracted by appearances. Observe. Let people reveal themselves through their own behavior. Often karma doesn't arrive with thunder, it arrives with discomfort, with the inability to sit still, to be alone, to face oneself. And that fake happiness, that's the first whisper of consequence. 2. When life quietly takes from them. Karma doesn't always roar. It often removes things quietly, without warning, without spectacle. One day their phone stops ringing, people stop trusting them, opportunities disappear like smoke, and suddenly the very love they once mocked, the kindness they exploited, is gone and irreplaceable. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, don't waste time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. The universe doesn't argue either. It simply removes what no longer aligns with truth. So if you're wondering whether justice is coming, understand this. It already has. You just don't see it play out publicly, because karma doesn't collect loudly, it collects in silence. 3. When they still think about you. They won't mention your name, but you'll feel it. In the cryptic quotes, in the indirect stories, in the subtle jabs that make no sense unless you know the history, they think of you a lot more than they'll admit. Why? Because guilt has no mute button. It echoes, it loops, it replays moments over and over in the privacy of their mind. That's karma too. The punishment isn't always external, it's internal. Their memory becomes their mirror. And the silence you've chosen, that becomes your greatest power. You don't chase, you don't correct, you don't respond. And that absence, it haunts them more than words ever could. 4. When they stop trusting anyone, even themselves. There comes a point when the one who betrays becomes the one who is afraid of betrayal. They start calling it boundaries, but really, it's fear. They don't trust people anymore. They expect deception, disloyalty, loss, because deep down they know what they did, and if they were capable of it, others must be too. Seneca said, "He who does wrong rarely trusts anyone else." That's not just philosophy, that's psychology. Karma works like this. It doesn't always break you from the outside. It locks you in from the inside, turns your conscience into your prison guard, and slowly, you isolate yourself, not because others shut you out, but because you shut down. That's not peace, that's paranoia, and it was planted by their own actions. 5. When they meet someone just like themselves. At first it feels like a coincidence, a harmless flirtation, but slowly, the pattern begins to unfold. They fall for someone who mirrors their own behavior, distant, emotionally unavailable, passive-aggressive. They're ghosted without warning, mocked without mercy, left on read, just like they used to do to you. And that sting, that sudden realization, it's not just heartbreak, it's karma. See, the universe isn't cruel, it's a teacher. And sometimes the lesson is simple. Here's what you made someone else feel. They may not say it out loud, but deep down they know. This is what I did to the person who loved me. Karma doesn't punish, it reflects. It allows someone to experience the pain they once caused, not out of revenge, but to awaken them, whether they learn is their choice. 6. When you rise and they stay trapped. You didn't need to clap back. You didn't post about your glow-up. You just kept going. While they stayed stuck, lying to themselves, repeating patterns, you chose clarity. You chose growth. You chose peace over performance. And maybe they don't say it out loud. Maybe they never will, but they see it. Your silence became your strategy. While they looked for closure, you built a life that no longer needs it. You healed without applause. You moved forward without their permission. Marcus Aurelius taught, the best revenge is to be unlike your enemy. And that's exactly what you became. Stronger, softer, wiser. You didn't just survive, you transcended. 7. When you're being lied about. False stories spread like wildfire. Lies are built to provoke, not to reveal truth, but to distract from it. You might be tempted to explain yourself, to defend your name. But here's the Stoic truth. Every time you respond to a lie, you dignify it. Epictetus would tell you, stand in your integrity. Let time do the talking, because eventually patterns emerge, truth always surfaces, and the louder they lie, the more desperate they sound. You don't need to say a word. Let your actions stay consistent. Let your peace be your statement. And remember, your silence isn't weakness, it's restraint, it's wisdom. 8. When you're betrayed. Betrayal cuts deepest when it comes from someone you trusted. And the instinct is to confront, to demand closure, to make sense of the pain. But more often than not, those conversations reopen the wound. Stoicism teaches, walk away quietly. Let your absence speak. Your peace is not found in their explanation. It's found in your ability to release what you can't control, to not let their betrayal rewrite your worth. Don't look back, don't re-explain. Just leave the table and watch what happens when your presence is no longer there to take for granted. 9. When you're insulted. Words are cheap weapons, and those who use insults know this. Their goal is not expression, it's provocation. They want your reaction, they feed on it. And when you respond, they win. But when you remain still, unmoved, you become untouchable. Marcus Aurelius said it best. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Let them throw their fire. You don't need to catch it. Let their words hang in the air, powerless without your engagement. Because in a battle of noise, stillness is the sharpest blade. 10. When someone plays the victim, they twist facts, rewrite the story, cast you as the villain in their drama, and somehow they convince others of a version that never happened. Don't fall for the trap, because the more you explain, the more it fuels their performance. Let them perform. Time exposes patterns, and those who manipulate with guilt always repeat themselves until the mask falls. Seneca reminds us, truth is not harmed by being questioned, it is only strengthened. Let your life remain aligned with truth. The rest will reveal itself in silence. 11. When you're taken for granted. There's a painful irony in being kind. The more available you are, the more invisible you become. But you don't need to shout for appreciation. Just step back, and suddenly your silence becomes a mirror. People notice your absence in ways they never appreciated your presence. That's the lesson. You don't teach people by begging for value. You teach them by removing access. The Stoic doesn't chase, he simply detaches. And in that detachment, he regains his worth. 12. When you're being provoked on purpose. Some people don't want resolution. They want control. They'll press your buttons, say things they don't even believe, just to get a rise out of you. But a Stoic understands your reaction is their reward, so don't reward them. Breathe, pause, don't match their chaos with your own. Be the one who stays centered when others unravel. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. That's your strength. That's your advantage. That's your peace. 13. When they regret losing you. Regret often comes when it's too late. Suddenly they remember your kindness, your presence, the way you made things feel calm. But regret is a teacher that only visits after the test. And as tempting as it might be to return, remember they had their chance. Self-mastery means not returning to what once broke you, no matter how loudly the door is knocked. Your silence is now your closure. Let it remain closed. Silence is not emptiness, it is presence, power, purpose. In a world that demands a reaction, silence is the ultimate rebellion. Every insult, every lie, every betrayal, they are not yours to fix. They are theirs to carry. And as the Stoics taught, you don't need to scream to be heard. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. Just keep walking, quietly, unshaken. Let the universe do its work, because sometimes the loudest response is no response at all. If this message spoke to you, I invite you to join our quiet circle here at the Still Stoic. Hit subscribe and share this video with someone who's learning to find power in their silence. And if you're on your own Stoic journey, let us know in the comments. Which of these moments have you experienced in silence? Until next time, stay grounded, stay calm, and let silence speak where words fail.